WRVA, the voice of Virginia.
Rich Herrera loves this country and isn't afraid to say it.
This is Richmond's Morning News with Rich Herrera on News Radio WRVA.
All right, 7:33 this morning here on Richmond's Morning News. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll get back to talking about the 4th of July festivities that we have throughout the Commonwealth and in D.C. But right now, I do want to take a look at something. Lots of different laws went into effect on July 1st. One of those is called the Clean State Law. It takes effect on July 1st. It does not erase convictions. It seals qualifying records from ordinary public view of the most routine background checks while keeping them available for certain government, court, public safety, and federally regulated purposes. So what exactly is this, and more importantly, what it's not? George Townsend is joining us right now from Clean State, Virginia, to kind of explain what's going on with these new laws we have here in the Commonwealth. George, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, Rich. Good morning. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Okay, so whenever we get something like this, there's always people that get it wrong. There's always people that have a little bit of information, and I always think a little information is almost more dangerous than no information at times. So let's explain what this law is, and more importantly, what it's not.
Sure. Yeah. I think there are a lot of misconceptions. People hear sealing criminal records, and I think they jump to a lot of conclusions. But really what we're talking about sealing low-level offenses. We're only talking about sealing nonviolent offenses. There's two types of sealing that will exist. One is automatic, and there we're talking about petty larcenies, trespass, things like that. If the person goes 7 years after the date of conviction without another conviction, it would be automatically sealed. Everything else that will be sealed by petition. And there we're talking about the rest of the misdemeanors that can be sealed, the low-level felonies that can be sealed. You have to do a petition to the court where you had the conviction, and then the judge has to authorize the sealing, and then at that point, it would be sealed.
Okay, so let me make sure I have this right. Petty larceny, shoplifting, trespassing, trespass on posted property, certain misdemeanor marijuana distribution convictions, and disorderly conduct will be sealed automatically after 7 years if you don't get back into trouble, correct?
Correct. You got it. Those are the 7 right there. No other convictions.
For anything else,
automatically sealed.
For anything else, or just repeating the same crime over again?
For anything else.
Okay.
All the other charges that can be sealed, then you have to do the petition.
Okay. So if, let's say I got caught shoplifting 7 years ago and I haven't gotten in trouble, then that gets automatically sealed. I get caught shoplifting and then I get a marijuana offense. That means my original shoplifting cannot be sealed automatically.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. That's right. So if you have another conviction in that 7-year good behavior time period, it would not be automatically sealed.
Okay. Now, convictions that could be sealed by petition back to the court that originally sentenced you, most misdemeanors, many class 5 and 6 felonies, grand larceny, and certain other offenses punished as larceny, deferred dismissal cases, and related records arising from the same incident. Explain those to me.
Yeah, so the incidents related to the underlying offense, there we're talking about violations of probation,
right?
Primarily. So if somebody had a felony conviction and they had a violation of probation, the violation of probation could also be sealed, but it extends the good behavior period. So you have to go 10 years after the violation of probation before it could be sealed.
George Townsend joining us right now, attorney, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
yes.
Well, just want to make sure that, because I really want to know what it is and more importantly, what it's not. Clean State, Virginia, class 5 and 6 felonies, what are those?
So those are the lowest level felonies. Right here, we're thinking about things like possession of cocaine, that could be sealed, possession of heroin. The things that cannot be sealed, though, the felonies are distribution of cocaine or distribution of heroin.
Okay,
so,
I have those. I'll list all those out for you. Class 1, 2, or 3 felonies cannot be sealed. Felonies punishable by life imprisonment, sex offenses, violent felonies, sex trafficking, felonies involving the use of a firearm, protective order violations, hate crimes, animal cruelty, certain election law crimes, date rape, drug offenses, not guilty by reason of insanity, dangerous or vicious dog offenses, and certain crimes against family or household members. So what it means is, and again, tell me if I'm right or wrong here, once sealed, the case generally disappears from Virginia's public online court system search ordinary public courthouse research or searches, routine Virginia background checks, and most private employer background checks. Did I get that right?
Right. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, that is right. So
police and everybody else can still see them.
Right. Yeah. So law enforcement, Commonwealth attorneys, probation officers, judges, they will always be able to see the conviction. Anyone who is authorized under the Virginia Code to see a criminal record will still be able to see it. There will be a notation that the charge has been sealed on the criminal record, but anyone who has the authority to see convictions under the code will still be able to see them.
Now, what if I just Google your name and there happened to be a newspaper article or something written about your crime? That's not taken offline or anything. I can still find you that way.
Right, right. So the state has no control over what has been published in the media. That is not something that's sealed. Things that are in the public domain from the media or any other sources, those would still stay out there in the public. Those are not sealed.
Okay, they got a minute here. Tell me why this is important and how this is going to help the life of somebody who made a mistake at one time, has cleaned up their act. Because again, we want to punish people and they need to be held accountable, but you also want people to live a fulfilling life, even if you made one mistake somewhere down the line and you did something in the heat of the moment or whatever. Why is this important that we have a law like this in Virginia?
Yeah, I think you kind of touched on the important parts. The law is really about rehabilitation and the fact that a criminal conviction shouldn't prevent people from good housing and employment for the rest of their life. So what the law allows is once a conviction has been sealed, for most employers, when you're filling out the application for employment, you can deny the conviction. And then when the employer runs the background check, it doesn't show up. So it puts you on equal footing where you were prior to the conviction. So the impact is people will get employment, better employment, but also housing. I know a number of clients that have really good jobs. They fought through the conviction, but because of a conviction from 10, 15, 20 years ago, they can't live where they want. So that's the impact of the law, is better employment, better housing. There's another part too to the law, is that once a conviction has been sealed, it's no longer considered a barrier crime. So it opens up different types of employment for people that had been prevented in the past.
Okay, wait a second. You said something. I want to make sure I got it correct. I've got one of these convictions. Okay, Rich did something and he's got this conviction. By this law, does that mean that I don't have to be forthcoming and honest when I'm applying for a job or a house? I can deny that I did it, and then they have no way to know whether I'm telling the truth or not?
Once the conviction has been sealed,
okay,
you can legally deny it unless it is prohibited in the code. That's right. And that's the impact of these laws, is that you are put on equal footing for employment where you were prior to the conviction. So after you go to the 7 years or the 10 years without another criminal conviction, then you can deny it. Also, the employment applications will have to change. Employers will have to notify people that a sealed conviction in Virginia, you can legally deny, unless, again, there's exceptions. And there are some exceptions for employment. If you're applying to become a state trooper, or even the banking industry, those are exceptions where you do have to admit the convictions.
So I got to come back to this for just a second. I want to be open-minded here, but what we're saying is I can be dishonest. I can lie on an application.
What you're saying is you can take advantage of what the law is.
No. I'm asking you.
You can legally deny.
I'm asking you straight up. So this law allows me to lie when they ask, have you ever been convicted of a felony or a misdemeanor? I can now lie on that and not tell the truth.
I guess, yeah, sure. Yeah, you can lie on it, yes. Yeah.
So how is that how is that a good thing, lying?
Well, I guess what you need to look at is what is the impact here. And the alternative is that these criminal convictions would stay on people's records and prevent employment forever. What Virginia did is they struck a really good balance here in rehabilitation and also protection of the community and protection of employers. And they said, hey, if you go a certain amount of time, statistics show that you are very unlikely to reoffend. In fact, you're put in the same position of people that have no criminal record. And so we're not going to have somebody not be able to get employment for the rest of their life. There's a certain point when enough is enough. and punishment shouldn't go on forever.
Well, sure. I mean, you don't want that revolving door because there's ex-cons that get out, they can't find a place to live, and they can't find a job, and they revert back to just because the system has punished them, and there's consequences that go along with this. But I'm not sure not being forthcoming and honest with somebody. I mean, I'm kind of dumbfounded at that. What do the opponents of this say? What are the opponents' arguments of this?
Well, I think the opponents kind of misunderstand what the law allows, and I think a lot of the opponents kind of make the assumption that these involve violent crimes and things like that. And again, these are low-level offenses that are being sealed. Now, I understand if you think that somebody has convicted a crime and that should stay on your record and be in the public for the rest of the person's life, and there should not, if you don't believe in rehabilitation, then you're not going to believe in these laws. But again, I think Virginia struck a good balance between rehabilitation, protection of employers, and also protection of the community.
What about the victims? It seems like we're just going to negate or wipe away what happened to the victims.
Well, the victim is always going to know. The victim will always know about that.
But no one else will, because they can lie. But no one else can know about it because I can lie. I can go, hey, you know what? I stole all this money from your law firm, but now I get to lie about it. And George, I could just stand there and look everybody in the eye and go, I didn't do that.
Yeah, but the conviction would have been in the public eye from either 7 to 10 years at a minimum. So it's not like there's not going to be any more punishment. It's not like it's not going to be in the public eye for a period of time. I mean, again, the shortest amount of time we're talking about is 7 years, and then for felonies, 10 years. So it's out there in the public for that long.
So I got a kid who stole my car, probably 10 years ago. And he was actually in a house arrest. He had sold 14 cars. He stole mine, went back and stole more. Under something like this, if with these type of laws, if it gets pled down to a misdemeanor or joyriding or whatever, he gets to say in 10 years, if he just gets convicted of the one, I didn't do it. And Rich, you can go kick rocks. There is no punishment beyond that for him. And the whole thing's expunged like it never happened. I'm the one who was out without a car. I'm the one who was damaged. And now nothing, then everything goes away like it never happened.
Well, some of the premise is not accurate there. We're not talking about expungement. Again, we're talking about sealing.
Right.
And we're talking about sealing for purposes of employment and for housing. So the alternative is that person's not able to gain employment forever. Also, and you talked about you're kind of out of luck. One of the parts of the statute is that no one can have anything sealed if there's restitution that hasn't been paid. So
that's a good point.
The victim is made whole. That is a requirement in the statute.
This is an interesting law, and I'm glad that we're able to shed some light on it. Again, I get it. We can't have a revolving door. Once people get out, we want them to come back and be good members of society. But we also, I think the public deserves to, an employer certainly, I think, would want to know whether their future employee had committed some type of crime when they're judging whether they're going to employ somebody or not. So we're kind of caught in a catch-22. We're darned if we don't. We darned if we do. We darned if we don't. But I think you kind of shed some light on this, George. I appreciate you coming on. I'd love to have you come back on the program again and continue this topic, because I think it's important for people to know, more importantly, what this law does and what it doesn't do.
Hey, Rich, thanks a lot. It's been a lot of fun. I really appreciate it.
All right, appreciate it. George Townsend, Clean State, Virginia. If you want to Google him, you can find out more information. Get your thoughts on this. 833-804-1140. We'll continue with you. It's News Radio, WRVA. Let me talk to you. Got to remind everybody. I will take your text messages coming up here in just a second. 833-804-1140, the James River Air